Welcome back to Feel Good Alcohol Free. I'm Lindsay, your host and creator of Feel Good AF, where I teach women to let go of the thought patterns that keep them stuck and move forward into the life of their dreams. I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive right into it, I want to let you in on a new webinar I recently created. In it, I'll walk you through the opportunity for a real, tangible, and sustainable transformation. It's free and it's linked in the show notes, so go ahead after this episode and give it a watch. Okay, so today we are talking about moderation and how it's total crap. If you've ever tried to just cut back or only drink on weekends, but somehow ended up in this same exhausting cycle that you were stuck in the first place, this episode is for you. So let me start by taking you back to one of the hundreds of times I swore this time was going to be different. I had a plan. The rules were set, only 2 drinks max, no drinking on weeknights, and absolutely no tequila, because let's be honest, I had enough evidence that tequila was a bad idea. I felt so sure that this time I had cracked the code. I was finally going to have a normal, balanced relationship with alcohol. And then life would happen. A stressful day, dinner with my friends, casual let's split a bottle that turned into, oh look, it's midnight and I have to go to work tomorrow. And just like that, my rules would crumble. But instead of admitting that maybe moderation wasn't working, I would double down. I just needed better rules, stronger willpower, or maybe a new strategy was the trick, like switching to wine spritzers or only drinking at home, because obviously the problem was the setting, not the alcohol. I wasted so many years in this cycle, convincing myself that moderation was possible if I just tried harder, that it was my fault for not being disciplined enough. But really, moderation isn't failing you. No. You are just fighting this game that was completely rigged from the start. So here's another way of looking at it. Moderation is like a lifetime subscription to deciding, and trust me, it's not a subscription you want. It's deciding if tonight's a yes or a no. Deciding how many drinks are acceptable, deciding if you actually did in fact break your own rules, deciding if you should feel bad about it or if you can justify one more. And all of that deciding, it's completely exhausting. If you've ever found yourself stuck in this loop wondering why it's so damn hard just to drink less, I see you. And these feelings you're having about it are more common than you think. So here's something that I really want you to hear. It's not about your willpower. It's not that you are not strong enough. Moderation of alcohol doesn't work because it's not the way alcohol is meant to work. We're going to talk about the exhausting, soul-sucking reality of moderation. I wanted moderation to work. I needed it to work because if moderation worked, it meant I didn't have to give up alcohol. I just had to get better at managing it. And so I would go all in on the rules. First, I tried mixing white wine with seltzer, thinking I am such a genius. I'll sip slower, I'll drink less, and I'll stay in control. Except, no. That never happened. All that did was make me drink faster because it went down like water and I just end up wanting more. Then I came up with another one of my brilliant strategies. I'd start drinking earlier in the day and I would tell myself I'm going to cut myself off by 7 because that way I'd go to bed early and I'd wake up feeling fresh. I mean, this sounded like a pretty good plan, right? Except once 7 hit, I'd think, well, just one more. And then it was 10 p.m., another bottle was gone, and I was still awake, staring at the ceiling, sweating, and yet again feeling deeply disappointed in myself. So even on the rare nights when I did manage to stop early, I still woke up in the middle of the night feeling like garbage. Did that stop me? No, because I was committed to the art of moderation. I started realizing just how much of my mental energy was going towards strategizing my drinking. What to drink, when to start, when to stop, how much was okay, whether I could justify more. It was a part-time job. And the worst part of this, the realization that normal drinkers were not doing this. My friends were not mapping out their alcohol intake like some sort of war plan. They weren't waking up in the middle of the night, chugging coconut water, and wondering where it all went wrong. And while I was burning all of my energy, trying so desperately to make moderation work, my life was getting smaller. It was easier to just stay home and drink on my couch. I told myself I was choosing a cozy night in, but really, I just didn't have the energy to do anything else. I was tired. I was tired all the time. And then there were the Sundays. Sundays, I'd be curled up on my couch deep into a Malbec-fueled Netflix binge, and I'd have this gut punch moment of, there is no way other people are wasting their Sundays like this. But I had no idea what people without kids even did on Sundays because my entire routine revolved around drinking and recovering from drinking. And every time I took a break from alcohol and was feeling good, I would tell myself, this time I'd prove I could be normal. I'd convinced myself I just needed to switch drinks, only white wine from now on. Except it turns out when you drink it like water, 3 bottles in a day becomes normal. Even now when I say all of this out loud, I can't believe I thought I was managing things. I feel so much empathy for my past self, thinking I had things under control. I was stuck. If you are currently in this, know that I am sending you my love. Keep listening and keep taking the steps that will get you out of this frustrating, exhausting cycle. Okay. If you've ever thought, I just need to find the right rules, the right drink, the right amount, then I'll have control, you're not alone. It makes perfect sense that you'd want moderation to work. We've been conditioned to believe that responsible drinking is the goal, that if we just try harder, we can crack this code and drink like a normal person. But here's the thing, moderation is designed to fail. And it's not because you're weak or lack willpower, it's because of how alcohol actually impacts your brain. So we are going to break it down today. Let's start with dopamine and the illusion of control. So the moment alcohol hits your system, your brain releases dopamine, and this is this pleasure reward chemical. This reinforces the idea that drinking equals relief, relaxation, or fun. But here's the little twist. Your brain remembers that hit and starts demanding more. So moderation forces you to battle against this process in real time. It's like trying to eat just one chip while your brain is screaming, no, we're finishing the whole bag. My brain still screams that sometimes. So then the other piece is decision fatigue is real. The human brain is not built to make the same exhausting decision every single day. Should I drink tonight? How much? What kind? How fast? What's my cutoff? This is like a mental treadmill. Moderation doesn't remove alcohol from your life. It just makes it a job. And spoiler, that job sucks and it has no benefits. The next one is alcohol lowers inhibitions. So have you ever told yourself, I'll only have 2? And then 2 drinks later, you're like, actually, what's one more? That's not a personal failing. That's just alcohol doing what alcohol does. It quiets the logical part of your brain, making it physically harder to stick to any limits that you set. And here's the part that people don't really like to admit. At least I didn't. Moderation isn't actually about control. It's about permission. We tell ourselves we're cutting back, but really, we're just looking for a way to keep alcohol in our lives without the consequence. Except, come on here, there are always consequences. The exhaustion, the overthinking, the mental gymnastics, it absolutely never stops. And deep down, you already know that. If you're stuck in this moderation loop, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not the only one. Not even freaking close. For most people, moderation isn't just a phase. It's a years-long experiment. This cycle of negotiating, bargaining, adjusting the rules, failing, and then trying again with just one more little tweak. It's exhausting. And the thing that's like so wild to me is most people who quit drinking didn't just wake up one day and decide to be done. Sure, There are some, and maybe you even know one or two, but there are so many people out there that spent years trying to make drinking work. They told themselves they'd only drink on weekends. They switched to light beer. They quit tequila because tequila makes me crazy. They set rules, broke rules, then made new rules. They read articles about mindful drinking and tried apps to track their intake. They believed deep down there had to be a way to keep alcohol in their lives without it feeling like this. Same, girl. Same. Me too. I thought I could find the magic formula. Thought I just needed better self-control. But the reality, moderation never was going to work because the entire premise was built on a lie. That alcohol, which this is what I believed, alcohol was still adding value to my life. And if you're nodding along, realizing that you've been stuck on the rundown moderation party bus for way too long, or way longer than you care to admit, I want you to know you are not broken. This cycle is normal. It happens to almost everyone who tries to cut back. You're certainly not failing. And back to my point from earlier, you're just stuck in a game that's rigged against you. So let's talk about why. And more importantly, we're going to get into how you get out. So how you get out for real this time. So if moderation is a losing game, how do you actually get out of it? Because let's be real, just deciding to quit isn't enough. If it were that easy, you wouldn't still be here, stuck in the cycle, negotiating with yourself every damn weekend. So here's the truth. You need a strategy that actually works with your brain, not against it. Okay, I'm going to dive in. Number 1. Understand what's happening in your brain. My favorite part, it's the science part. Alcohol hijacks your dopamine system. I've talked about this before, and I will definitely talk about it again. It gives you a quick hit of pleasure, but over time, it dulls your brain's ability to feel any kind of joy without it. That's why moderation is so hard. You're literally fighting against a brain that's been rewired to need alcohol to feel good. And guess what? Your brain hates uncertainty. Your brain loves clear decisions, not half in, half out rules that change every time you drink. That's why moderation feels like mental gymnastics. It keeps you in decision fatigue, draining your energy before you've even taken a sip. The way out, it's time to stop negotiating. Decide once instead of deciding every single time. It's the mental equivalent of deleting an app that keeps draining your battery instead of just closing it and hoping it stops running in the background. After a long day of work, you get home and you don't have to play another round of tug of war with yourself. You already know you aren't going to drink. You can step inside and enter into your new healthy after work routine. A walk outside with your dog, a cup of tea on the porch, a hot shower before making dinner. Doesn't that sound peaceful? Number 2, balancing your needs instead of ignoring them. One of the biggest mistakes we make when we're trying to quit drinking is assuming that alcohol was just a bad habit, like biting your nails or scrolling TikTok too much. But drinking wasn't just a habit, it was a solution. Maybe it was a dysfunctional solution, but a solution nonetheless. You drank for a reason, maybe to relax, maybe to connect, maybe to escape stress, quiet the anxiety, or just make life feel a little less blah. So if you're going to remove alcohol, you have to address those needs in a real way. And if you don't, you're going to go back every time. So if you drink to relax, what else actually helps you unwind? And no, I'm not talking about forcing yourself to meditate for 30 minutes if you hate meditating. What feels good? A long shower, a mindless TV show, a walk outside. Find it. Find the thing. If you drank for social confidence, how else can you feel at ease? Start practicing sober socializing in low stakes environments. Have an exit plan. Bring a drink you love. If you drank out of boredom, now this is a big one. You need something to look forward to at the end of the day. Something that makes you feel alive and engaged and like you're choosing not to drink rather than white-knuckling your way through an empty evening. Third, and this is my favorite one, and this is the one that we practice in my group coaching program. Build inner integrity. Win after win after win. The biggest thing that keeps women stuck in moderation is broken promises. You'll say you only have 2 drinks and then you have 4. You say you won't drink on weekdays and then Wednesday rolls around and you're pouring a glass of wine. And every time it happens, your confidence takes a hit. And again, this is not because you're weak, but because your brain is learning that your own word doesn't mean shit. So that's the real cost of moderation. It totally shatters your self-trust. So here's how you rebuild it. You stack wins, small wins at first, wins that show your brain, I can trust myself again. Maybe it's just committing to 1 alcohol-free weekend. Maybe it's showing up to a social event sober. Maybe it's replacing 1 drinking ritual with something that actually feels good. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you are not just not drinking. You are teaching yourself that your word matters, that you can rely on yourself, that you don't need alcohol to manage your life. And when you start stacking those wins, that is when everything starts to change. Now, at first, these small wins, they're probably going to feel a little insignificant. You might think, what is the big deal? It's just 1 alcohol-free weekend. It's just 1 social event where I didn't drink. It's just 1 night where I chose tea instead of wine. But these moments, they're everything. I promise you that. Because every single time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you're not just avoiding alcohol. You're shifting your entire identity. You're becoming the version of yourself you want to become. The problem is that when you're in it, you just don't always see how big these wins actually are. Your brain is used to dismissing your progress. You tell yourself, well, I didn't drink last night, but that's not a big deal. I've done that before. Or, sure, I made it through that party without alcohol, but I still felt awkward, so it doesn't count. This is why having support is so incredibly important during this time. When you're surrounded by people who have been where you are, who know how hard it is, who can reflect back on the massive shifts you're making, you start to believe in your progress. You start seeing that 1 sober night isn't just 1 night. It's proof that you're changing. You realize that showing up to an event alcohol-free isn't just a fluke. It's a sign that you're learning to trust yourself. You stop dismissing your success and start owning it, because when others celebrate your wins with you, you feel the impact of them. Confidence isn't something that you just have. It's built piece by piece through every single win you acknowledge. And when you have people reminding you, hey, look at what you just did, this is huge. That is when it clicks. When you stack wins, your brain stops expecting alcohol as the solution. That knee-jerk reaction of, today was hard, I need a drink, starts to fade away. You realize that you can handle stress, boredom, and social situations without alcohol. And it gets easier every time. You're going to stop fearing social events. The first time you go out sober, it feels awkward. The second time, you feel a little more comfortable. By the 5th time, you're actually having fun. You're fully present and you're not even thinking about drinking. Your confidence skyrockets. The old you didn't trust yourself. You always had that nagging thought, can I really do this? Am I going to cave tonight? But now, you know you can follow through. That confidence spills into every single area of your life. Work, relationships, boundaries, everything. Everything. You stop overthinking alcohol, because here's the thing, like, moderation keeps you stuck in constant decision making. Should I drink? How much? What's my rule today? But when you stop negotiating, you free up so much mental energy. You think about drinking less and less until one day you realize, I don't even want it anymore. You start wanting more for yourself. Alcohol, it's keeping your world really small. It keeps you stuck in routines that don't serve you. But when you step out of that cycle, you start seeing what's actually possible for your life. You get curious again. You dream bigger. You feel alive in a way you haven't in years. And that's when it starts to click. This was never just about alcohol. This was about becoming the woman who keeps her promises to herself. And when you become her, you'll be even more confident, more motivated, and more at peace. Okay. You don't have to do this alone. This is the work we do inside my program. We're not just taking alcohol off the table, we're helping you build a life where you don't even want it. A life where you trust yourself, where you feel free, where your confidence is unshakable. I've got a simple action for you to take this week. I want you to start noticing the small wins and even consider tracking them. Write them down in your notebook. Today I woke up and I felt better than I have in weeks. Or today at work, I wasn't counting down the hours until I got to go home and have a glass of wine. Start observing your thought patterns and take notice of the moments where you are winning, no matter how small. Today, I got into bed with a clean face. And if you're feeling deeply motivated to start stacking those wins, real, lasting wins that actually change how you see yourself, this is your invitation. You can book a discovery call. The link is in the show notes. I'm going to pull insights out of you and show you what currently feels unimaginable. Okay, that's it for this week. I will be here next week with another episode where you'll be learning all about rediscovering and rebuilding your confidence. If you're enjoying this podcast, please hit the subscribe button, and I would be forever grateful if you left a review. This helps women who want support find it. Okay, I'll see you next time.